Hi there, welcome back. This is the second question of the test one. And the question says that your company has an on-premises network that contains multiple servers, and the company plans to reduce the following administrative responsibilities of network administrators. And what are these responsibilities? So, the responsibilities of backing up application data, replacing failed server hardware, managing physical server security, updating server operating systems, and managing permissions to shared documents. So the company wants to reduce or eliminate these responsibilities from the network administrators. Now the company plans to migrate several servers to Azure virtual machines. So you need to identify which administrative responsibilities will be eliminated after the planned migration. So you need to identify which two responsibilities will be eliminated. Now this question deals with the benefits of migrating on-premises servers to Azure virtual machines, because once you move to Azure cloud, some responsibilities are automatically transferred to the cloud provider. So this question basically refers to the shared responsibility model, where responsibilities are divided and or shared among the customer and the cloud service provider. After moving to Azure virtual machines, two of the administrative responsibilities will be completely eliminated and the company would not have to worry about it anymore. So the correct answers to this question is replacing failed server hardware and managing physical server security. So these two responsibilities will now be handled by the cloud provider, which is Microsoft in this case, instead of the company. Let's look at the documentation on the shared responsibility model and try to understand the division of responsibilities. So this diagram represents various responsibilities that are based on the type of cloud deployment that you have. So whether you have implemented a solution as a software as a service solution, or a platform as a service solution, or an infrastructure as a service solution, or you are still working on an on-premise setup. So based on your cloud deployment type, the responsibilities are mentioned over here. So for example, if you have an on-premises setup, then all these responsibilities have to be taken care of by you or the company that manages the on-premise setup. So here at the bottom, you can see that there are three boxes. So you can see the boxes that are filled with dark blue color represents customer's responsibility, while boxes that are filled with light blue color are the responsibilities that are borne by Microsoft, being the cloud provider. And then there are some boxes over here that are partly colored with light blue and partly colored with dark blue. This represents shared responsibility between the customer and Microsoft. So if you see the on-premises setup, each and every responsibility lies with the customer. All these boxes are dark blue in color. So all these responsibilities lies with the customer or the organization. That is, the company or the customer is responsible for managing the physical infrastructure, managing the networks, managing the applications and identity infrastructure, etc. So here everything has to be managed by the company. Now if you look at the bottommost three responsibilities, which is physical host, physical network and physical data center, you will see that irrespective of the cloud deployment type, whether it's SaaS, PaaS or IaaS, the responsibility of managing the physical infrastructure lies with Microsoft. So it's all light blue for all deployment types. So if we go back to our question, among the listed responsibilities, the correct answers would be replacing failed server hardware and managing physical server security. So these two responsibilities will be totally handled by Microsoft as the cloud provider, as we just saw in the shared responsibility model diagram. So everything that is physical will be managed by Microsoft. Now let's understand why these two options are correct. So replacing failed server hardware. So for instance, imagine you're running an on-premises server and the hard drive fails. So usually you would need to diagnose the issue, purchase a new hard drive, install it, and then restore your server from backups. But with Azure, all the hardware is managed by Microsoft. So if a hardware or a hard drive or any other hardware component fails, Microsoft's own operation team takes care of it. So you as an Azure customer might not even notice it because of the redundancy options that are provided by Azure. The other option that is correct is managing physical server security. So in a traditional on-premises environment, you might have servers in a dedicated server room or a big data center that you might have. So you would be responsible for controlling physical access to this room, setting up surveillance systems, dealing with the cooling and fire suppression systems, and so on. But once you migrate to Azure, all these responsibilities are taken care of by Microsoft. So your servers are hosted in one of the Azure's secure data centers, where Microsoft employs a variety of measures like biometric access controls, security guards, and surveillance systems to ensure the physical security. So you won't have to worry about the managing the physical security of the servers. Now let's understand why other options are incorrect. So the first incorrect option is backing up application data. So if you go back to the shared responsibility model and scroll down a bit, we see that in this para, it says that regardless of the type of deployment, whether it's a SaaS, PaaS, or an IaaS type of deployment, you always retain the following responsibilities. You means the customer who has moved from an on-premise setup to Azure. So you will always have to take care of your data, whether it's an application data or any other data. The customer will always be responsible for backing up the application data. So it is the customer's responsibility to ensure that the application data is backed up. Now, even though Azure provides services that can assist with backing up data, the responsibility of ensuring that your application data is backed up and recoverable still lies with your organization. So if something happens to your data due to a hardware failure or a cyber attack, Azure may be able to help you recover it, but they are not responsible for doing so. So it is important to have a backup plan in place in case your data is lost or corrupted. The other option that is incorrect is updating server operating systems. While Azure does take care of some aspects of server management, the responsibility for maintaining and updating the operating systems of your virtual machine still falls on the administrator of your organization. So this includes tasks such as installing security patches and applying proper updates timely. The last option that is incorrect is managing permissions to shared documents. So let's say you have a file server that is running on Azure virtual machine and you're using it to share documents within your people, within your organization or company. So you will still need to manage the shared permissions on these documents. So just because the service running in Azure doesn't mean that Azure takes over this responsibility. It's the part of the application layer and it is generally outside the scope of what Azure manages. So you have to see which permissions are granted to which users on which documents. So in this question, we learned about the shared responsibility model and we understood how responsibilities are divided between Microsoft and the customer. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.